Good morning, everyone out there in video land. Hello, everybody out there in radio land. Radio land, are you with me? Are you with me, radio land? My name is Paul K. Lemire, and this is your city, your voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the studios of 4680Q Radio. The big sign right here to my left. Left, that's where it is. The other left. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in, everyone. We've got a beautiful day out here today. It's like 57 degrees, threatening rain. Looks like it's going to rain. It rained a little bit earlier this morning, and the temperature's really held steady. It's been like 57 since I got up at 5 in the morning, and it's still 57 out there. So what a great day. Spring is in Niagara. Yeah, we're going to drop a few degrees during the weekend here, back to more seasonable temperatures. Yesterday it got up to about 76 degrees, which is wild for this time of year in Niagara Falls, but it's a pleasure to have it turn so warm. A little bit early for us usually, but you know what? I don't mind. I'm not complaining. That little rodent, that groundhog, he was pretty well right on the money. Going to get rain this weekend, though. Temperatures are going to go down a bit, but other than that, we're going to start getting into the summer over here, which is fine by me. I have no problem with summer. Yeah, let's see. Lots going on in the world. Lots going on. So much going on. It's hard to keep track of anymore. It's crazy, crazy train out there with everybody. But you know what? It never ends when you're living in the 51st state. Let's face it. First, let's get to our sponsors. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and Hamel Machine Company are three sponsors. Thank you so much to them all for sponsoring the show. Support our sponsors because they support the show and the city. Don't forget about our sponsors. So we look out here, this nice weather's here. Now, we're not going to get any bad weather. So, I mean, that's over. Everything's too warm now and that kind of thing. So get your car into Wild Bill's. Get the spring checkup special he's got going. Bring your car in for free. He's going to go through all your systems. Make sure your car is running tip-top. Fix anything that's wrong. Take it for a test drive. You want to be safe in the summer. You want your brakes checked. You want everything checked, everything done so it's right. And that's what Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop brings to the table. You're going to get your car fixed if you get a fender bender, get something wrecked. Don't forget it. Don't worry about it. He's going to take it in, fix it, bring it out in showroom conditions. You can't go wrong. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop. Be proactive. Take care of your car. Go to wildbillsauto.ca and you can make appointments and do everything on the website. But most important, be proactive. Don't break down. You don't want to break down. Okay. I don't know if you listened to the show before this one this morning. It was pretty good. Dave Alexander has a sports show in the morning on Thursday mornings, and they were talking baseball this year with the baseball season coming up. It was really good. They gave their predictions with the guest Bill Tellerico, the buzzard, in the studio, and they gave the predictions for this year's Major League Baseball season, as well as told some great stories along the way. So, yeah, it was pretty good stuff. Let's get over to City Council. Of course, the City Council meeting was on Tuesday. And of course, we do our show on Mondays about City Council agenda, go through the agenda. Then we watch the proceedings live from City Hall. And we see what they actually decided on a lot of things. And then we report back. I usually do a little bit about it, not a lot. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It was pretty much standard procedure, but I did notice a couple things. The first thing was, it doesn't get more hokey. I don't know why the city council appears hokey to me all the time. So here comes Vince Cario. Welcoming Vince Cario back. He got sworn in before they went into the in-camera meeting. Of course, he has to be sworn in before he can sit down and listen to top secret information. And when they came back, I don't know if it was then or whatever, but they played the Welcome Back Cotter song. Welcome back. That song. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed a little bit hokey to me. Swear the guy in. He's back. He's been here before. Welcome back, Cotter. They're playing that song. I don't know. I guess everybody liked it, I just thought it was a little bit hokey. Come on, get them in here. It's business. Let's go. I don't know why they want to run these meetings as some type of a uh, social thing. It's a business meeting. Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Yeah, he got the ticket out, and because I was surprised he even came back. Good for Vince. He participated right away. He didn't pull any punches. He was giving it to the Penguin already. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I noticed Mayor Munchie. What is Jim Diodati? What's our mayor? What's he eating all the time? What's he eat? He's always eating something. I look at him. He's munching away there, eating away while people are talking. What the hell is he eating? Can somebody tell me what he's eating? What's he got? A bag of peanuts there? Yeah, he's eating something. I don't know. I don't know what he's munching away on. Sunflower seeds. I don't know. Eating something. Jujubes maybe. Mm. Maybe he's eating Junior Mints. I don't know. He's always eating something though. I'm going, what the heck? He's eating over there. Of course, the huge discussion was about the owner-occupied short-term rentals. And there was a lot of people in the audience and some people online in Zoom that wanted to talk to the owner operated short term rentals. And you know what? There's a lot of people against it. They don't like the idea of having any kind of rentals in their neighborhood. And they talked about a lot of different things. A lot of people made cases for owner operated short term rentals that the owners live there. So it's a little bit different than when the owner's absent, which I agree with that. It is. If the owner's there, it's usually a little bit more calm. When these guys are there, they're not a bunch of wahoos running around. But, at the end of the day, a lot of people didn't like it. They don't want it happening in residential neighborhoods. They don't have, I think where the problem is, they don't have confidence in City Hall. And that's where it seemed to me to come to a head and cause a problem because they don't have confidence in City Hall enacting bylaws when there are problems. Then they're against it, and we've seen that a million times. I mean, I see it in my neighborhood. Right across the street, there's people living in a backyard in a tent, and they've been there for a year now. They're living in a tent all through the winter, all through that cold. Obviously, they don't have running water. So I don't know what they use for a bathroom. I don't know how they deal with that. But they've lived there all winter. And, when you talk to the bylaw about it, to anybody from the city about it, there's nothing they can do about it. Now, the situation is it's owned by someone in Toronto, the house. It's rented out to some people. And those people have given these people permission to live in the backyard. Whether they're paying them or not a couple $100s a month, I don't know because there is power running from the house out to this tent. I just find it like if you're going to go through all these owner occupied short term rentals, you're going to go with the ADUs, the additional dwelling units that have been okayed, and they have to be a certain built a certain way. They got to have all the safety features of a normal house. They've got to have running water. They got to have electricity. They got to have bathrooms. It's like another little house behind your house in your backyard for in-laws or whatever. And I guess now they'll be able to use them for short-term owner-operated short-term rentals, I would say. But these are the kind of things that city council allows. These people were living in a car in the driveway before they moved up to the tent. And bylaw was there, but all bylaw can do is go in there and ask about their well-being, do a welfare check to make sure they're okay. And these are young people. There's nothing wrong with them. They can work. There's no reason they can't get jobs and get their own apartment. But this is what the city allows. So when it comes to me about short-term rentals or anything in my neighborhood, any rentals for that matter, I always have concerns that city council don't don't um, don't enforce bylaws, or there's just not enough of them to take care of them. Now, can you imagine in your neighborhood if there's a dozen short-term rentals? I mean, all that traffic, people going up and down the street. You don't know who they are. They're flopping every weekend because they're short-term rentals. It becomes a nightmare in your neighborhood. And like people have lived in our neighborhood for a long time. I'm in a crescent, and there's not a lot of people that go through. Usually, they're the people that live there. You know who they are, and they have respect for the other people who live in the crescent. I mean, when they go down the street, they go slow because there's kids and that they're careful and that kind of thing. And everybody knows who you are because they know your car. You're there every day. They see it in your driveway. So there's a little bit more respect, but people just coming in for the weekend, they don't care. And most of the time, when I see people speeding around the neighborhood, and that they're dummies that come in from other places. The people who live there are usually very, very good about stuff like that. So I can understand but I digress here. I can understand the problems that people think they're going to have with this, and yeah, I can understand why they're talking about it. So it ran the gamut of opinions. Some people were for it, some people were against it. There's cases made for people who are living alone. Maybe an older couple or an older gentleman or an older woman who's lost their spouse, living alone. They're having a hard time making ends meet with a house, so they want to rent out the room for a little bit more income so they can stay there. They don't have to get out and get to apartments, what they can't find anyway because there aren't any. So they're living in their house and they need a little help. So I can understand that. I can understand them bringing maybe in a student who needs a place to stay while they're going to school. I mean, there's a lot of that going on as well. Um, so there wasn't a decision that could be made on it. So they deferred it pending more information on how they're going to run it and that kind of thing. They couldn't make a decision yes or no, which I wish they would have just made instead of delaying it for 2 or 3 months. I mean, now staff has to work on more stuff. It costs more money in that. They should have just said yes or no. I mean, and Mike Strange had a good point. We won't know how it's going to work until we try it. We got to try it. And if it doesn't work, we can tweak it. So Mike was pretty, he was pretty bang on. I mean, that's not a bad way to do it. Okay, we're city council. We can pass bylaws. If it doesn't work out, we can stop it. And if it works out, but there's a few problem areas, we can tweak it. So Mike was talking pretty sensible then, like an elder statesman. Now, speaking of Mike Strange, while I'm at it right here, because I have notes about him too here. And I've noticed that Mike lately, we're seeing a kindler, gentler Mike. And I don't know if he's listening to my show or he's listening to some comments on Facebook or looked at him. I don't know what he's listening to, but he seems to be calmed down. A few months ago, and I mentioned this on the show about him bullying and being a bore, and with Larry Lococo, Councilor Lococo, and that kind of thing. He seems to have settled down, and he's not doing that anymore. And that's the Mike I know. That's the Mike I know. The good guy, nice guy, fun guy. And it didn't become him to be doing stuff like that. So, I mean, I really, really appreciate him being what he is, the elder statesman on city council, the guy who got the most votes to be a councilor in the city, and him getting up there and talking sensible and being kind to people, being nice, trying to solve things without being a bore, and that's better. That's way better. Now, the only thing I can say, if Mike's listening, I don't know if he is or not, or if he even cares what I say. I don't know. Maybe he don't. But what I would say is, now, as part of this newfound rejuvenation, newfound attitude, or whatever you want to call it, you may want to take a walk with Gary Wilkins and Mike Cushman into these contaminated lands and see what they're talking about. Give up some time, because I know curing childhood cancer is a lifelong goal of yours. This is what you would like to see, and you do everything in your power to help that happen, which is fantastic. But that's 50% of the battle. The other 50% is preventing childhood cancer. In other words, making sure that lands like the meteor crater across the street, the cyanamide property, building close to SciTech, making sure that these are part of your childhood cancer goals, because as much as you want to cure it, which would really be good, which is really something that would be good, is preventing it in the first place. So, when you look at these lands, you want to make sure they're remediated to the nth degree. You want to make sure they're clean. You want to make sure that nothing's going to seep from somewhere else and cause problems in the future. So we experience another Love Canal where there's birth defects and childhood cancer and everything. We can prevent it, and that's what I'd like to see you do at some point. But that's up to you. I'm just making the suggestion, and that's it. That's all I have to say about Mike. I hope he goes with the boys and takes a look at the stuff. That would be fantastic. In keeping with his new attitude, which I like. He looked rested. He looked right in form here. Okay. And then, like I say, about these out of home or owner operated short term rentals, I don't think it's so much about them, it's about the city. Can you actually patrol it and make it work? And I think that's where a lot of the problems are, and the residents just don't have faith. Um, and I think, yeah, and then like I said, I think before we even think of owner operated short term rentals, we have to take care of the bylaws and the guidelines. What's going to be okay? If people can build a residence in their backyard for people, and it's got to come up to some building codes, they shouldn't be allowed to put up a tent and live in it. I mean, these are the things the city's got to get rid of. And until they do that, I mean, there's another thing. Like, I don't have enough faith in the city to take care of anything or enforce any bylaws of any kind. If they can let people live in a backyard in a tent without amenities, I mean, that's crazy. I don't know what they use for a heater in the winter. I mean, it's dangerous, but they let them get away with it. They let them get away with it. So how can I have faith in they're gonna enforce any bylaws when it comes to out of the owner operated short term rentals? I mean, and this is the big problem. I think that's what people were talking about. And then we got into giving money away, and they okayed the $42,000 or something, 43 grand to all these groups that were applying for money. They gave it all to them. They supported it. And I don't know. I mean, when you're raising our taxes 23% in 4 years, should you be giving away anything? There should be a rule or something that for every dollar they give away, they have to find $10 of savings. So yeah, you can give $50,000 away to these groups if you want, but you have to find us $500,000 of savings. I think there should be something like that. Or actually, what I said, my suggestion is that we tell these guys in 2 years or 3 years, you're not getting the money anymore. So prepare for it. You have to raise your own. And you take a third of the money away the first year, another third the second year, and the final third the third year, and then they're on their own. Like in the Penguin, Jason Burgess, the CAO, he made sense. He said, "Here's my problem with giving all this money away: is we have 8,000 for the rest of the year that you've budgeted, and if some good idea comes up or something really good for the city comes up, and you want to spend money, you've only got 8,000 left. So, remember, you can give them all of the 50,000, a part of the 50,000. There's so many different ways you could do it." And of course, they voted to give it away anyway, with no conditions attached. And that, I just don't think that's should be part of it. I think they should be, released, and eventually should have to support themselves. If you can't support your event, then you can't have it. There's people looking for $158 of waived fees. Well, they can pay those fees. $150 makes or breaks your event. And I would say that you probably don't have a legit event if you're looking for $158 waived. I mean, seriously. So we have to take a look at these. Obviously, nobody thought so, like me. So that was that. Now, Councilor No Dose, Tony Baldinelli, was really involved in this meeting. He got up with some pretty good points, Tony. And I'm glad to see him getting on board and participating in this process. That was awesome. That was awesome. Good for him. We need more participation, so that's a good thing. But the guy who was really the kicker was Vince Cario. He didn't waste any time at all getting involved, telling the Penguin that City Hall hasn't done a really good job with these Airbnbs, short-term rentals, and as far as keeping them in order with bylaws and patrolling the illegal ones. So he's going to have a hard time supporting it because they can't get their house in order. That's the first meeting. Vince Cario back in the seat, doing what he does best, taking care of business. And of course, the Penguin said he thought Vince was wrong. He didn't agree with what Vince was saying. And the city was doing a great job. We're doing a great job. Doing a great job. And I don't know if, criticizing staff. And he got... So the swords are drawn. The swords are out. And here we go. We'll see. We'll see if this continues on. If there's some exchange of opinions with these two as we move through the next year and a half with Vince taking the chair back from our long lost Wayne Campbell, who passed away on February 27th. That's why Vince got sworn in. So go get him, Vince. Come on, Vince. We're depending on you, baby. Depending on you to keep everybody on the straight and narrow now that you're back on city council. Okay, let's get to my second sponsor, Victoria Avenue Pete's Pizza. If you want a good pizza, you just go see Mike down on Victoria Avenue here at the Pete's Pizza. Not Pizza, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. Yes, go see him. He's going to make you a great pizza. And why? Because he uses the Mancini family crust. He uses the Mancini family sauce, a fantastic blend of cheeses, Saputo, mozzarella, and brick. And he puts them on the pizza, the sauce and the cheese in the right ratios. He makes a perfect pie. Fantastic taste, fresh ingredients. You can't beat it. If you want a good pizza, Victoria Avenue, Pete's Pizza. And they have a whole menu, though. I mean, they got poutine. They have awesome chicken wings. They have steak and cheese poutine, panzerotti, steak subs. I mean, they got a whole gamut. They run the gamut of different takeout items. And basically, you're not going to go hungry when you look at their menu. It folds out like this. It's a big thing. Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. How do you get it? 905-374-2222 or petespizza.victoria.ca. And the good thing is they're open till 2 in the morning on Friday and Saturday. So after you come home from that bar, if you had a couple of wobbly pops, give them a call. Get a nice pizza. Watch Fright Night before you go to bed. Get something in that stomach so you don't have a hangover. Pete's Pizza, Victoria Avenue. Support them. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting our sponsors. So let's get to some viewer comments on the last shows here. At 881 Slick, wish you would have Andrea Croto and Mike Cushman come on your show. It's a battle over Trump and Elon. Let's have a talk about it. Gary, I would love to, but there's no. I just don't see it happening. And it's because at the end of the day, people with TDS who just hate Trump and hate Elon now, they also have MDS, Musk derangement syndrome. And there's no apparent reason. If you ask them why they hate Trump and Musk, they can't tell you. They go back to CNN crap from 2 years ago where they're talking about he's a felon and he did some doing some of that and all the other crap that went down about him. I mean, just nonsense. Russia. And they really believe it, and they just come from an angle of hate. So you can't really discuss anything. You can't really discuss anything with people who have a derangement syndrome. They just don't like Trump. They hate him for some reason. They base their opinions on discussions on hate. So if you say anything against, you try to defend Trump, they're just going to call you a racist or whatever. They can't even tell you why they hate him. So it's really impossible to have a valuable or a candid conversation about it. So no, I wouldn't get him in here. I wouldn't get him in here. I mean, I would get Harold. Harold, what's his name there in here? Somebody, like the guy on the Five, who really is Harold Ford is his name, who recognizes the deficiencies in the Democrats and can discuss Trump without having Trump derangement syndrome. Somebody like that I could talk to, but somebody who's just operating because they hate Trump. I mean, you can't talk to those people. At Dave Wheeler 1158, Trump became the Republican nominee without previously being elected to anything. So too is Elon Musk. So Carney is not without company as unelected. So we were talking about Carney not being elected. He was appointed, much like Kamala Harris. And okay, I got your point here, but here's the difference. Trump went through all the caucuses, he went through all the primaries, and was elected by millions and millions and millions of Republicans. And he was elected to be the leader, state to state, all states. There were nominations held in every state, Dave, and everyone that wanted to lead the party had a chance to get the nomination. And, in some states, they even allowed Democrats to vote in the Republican caucuses, in the Republican primaries in that state. So they all had a chance, and he was the guy nominated, and from his party, from millions and millions, not 150,000 of registered liberals, and another 250,000 were disqualified from actually casting a vote for him. So he was basically appointed Art Carney. Not the case with Trump. Not the case, not even close to that. And then he got elected by the popular vote. He went to election. He got elected by the people. So yeah, not even the close to being the same. And oh yeah, Trump did have political office before this election in 2024. You realize that he was president for 4 years, so he wasn't unelected. As for Elon, well, he doesn't hold an elected position. He never ran for anything. So nobody has to vote for him. He doesn't have to get any votes. He was appointed by Trump as the head of Doge, the Doge agent, the head Doge agent. And that's not an elected position. So putting him in the mix is irrelevant. It really don't matter, Davey boy. So that's that. I'm at 8081 Slick. To Dave Wheeler, at Dave Wheeler 1158. And your friend Harris, he says to Dave, Kamala Harris, of course, Kamala. Well, whatever happened there, Wheel, stop pretending you are not a Trump supporter. So 881 Slick tells Dave, we know you're a Trump supporter, so stop it. Make Wheels great again. I love the comments. And at Dave Wheeler 1158, Dave gave another one. The liberals and NDP should thank Trump. He made them great again. Well, okay, Dave, there's your comment. Well, saying he made them great again supposes that at some point in the recent past, they were great. Can't be great again if you were never great. And the liberals haven't been great for, I don't know, since the 60s, maybe. Since Pierre Trudeau version 1 got elected. In modern times, they've been tax and spend animals that never saw a tax they didn't install, and then they spent the tax money like a drunken sailor on shore leave. And the NDP, they were never great. So they can't be great again. So yeah, you have to be great at one point in time before you can be great again, Dave. Okay. Let's see here. So, some great news from Niagara Falls here. Some great news from Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls water is perfect. The city of Niagara Falls is proud to announce that it has achieved the perfect score of 100% from the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks and their 2024 drinking water distribution inspection. A perfect score for our guys down at the water treatment plant. The score illustrates the city's commitment to providing residents with safe, clean, high-quality drinking water. I hope they get a bonus. I know I hate giving money away, but you know what? When you get something 100%, that's worth something, isn't it? Even if it's a free parking pass for the year from Mayor Jim Diodati. As part of the mandatory requirements under the Safe Drinking Water Act, Ontario Regulation 170/03, Schedule 22, if you want to know the exact part of the act, the city also underwent an evaluation to confirm compliance with the MECP legislation and presented this in a summary report. The report confirms that Niagara Falls fully adheres to the required drinking water policies and guidelines set forth by the ministry. Here's a quote from Eric Idle, General Manager of Municipal Works. We're proud of the quality of our drinking water in Niagara Falls. Our drinking water distribution system is operated and maintained to the highest quality standards, and this perfect score reflects the dedication and hard work of our staff. Congratulations, Eric Nickel. I call him Eric Idle. That's something to be proud of for sure. And it's great news for me since I like drinking tap water. Right here, right in the bottle, tap water. Salute. No Walkertons on that road. Congratulations to the city. Now over to the bridges in the Niagara region. Here we've got a bunch of bridges, Lewiston, Queenston, Whirlpool. We have the Rainbow Bridge and the Peace Bridge. And the authorities are saying that traffic is down since the Trump tariffs. Well, they're not on yet, the Trump tariffs, but they're being threatened. Traffic's down. And of course, it's down, it's Trump's fault. Of course. Traffic's down, it's Trump's fault. What else? What else is new? The negative media pushing this anti-USA sentiment and buy Canadian nonsense is a big factor, as anything that causes Canadians to not go over the border or cross that border. But the Canadian peso isn't helping things either. And you have to pay 1.5 times the cost of anything if you go over the river and buy stuff. Well, you know, not too many people are going to go over for a $20 pizza that costs $30 Canadian. Well, they're not going to do any other kind of shopping. It appears the bridges are really strict with anything now. I've heard stories of people coming back, and Canada's put a 25% tariff on goods coming in from the United States, and they're being charged. They're being charged, no fooling around. And not only the tariffs, they're being charged the customs, the duty, the whole ball of wax. Used to be able to get over. What do you got? $50 worth of groceries. Okay, go ahead. No. Now they're pulling them in, and they're making them pay. This is your government, anti-U.S. government. So, of course, people aren't going over. They're hearing these stories in the news. Well, you know, I'm not going to go over there, buy stuff, have to get hassled at the bridge, and it comes really down to, excuse me, if you've got a Nexus card and you don't declare some little item, just don't think about it because it wasn't that expensive, $20. They can pull your Nexus card. Yeah. They have the ability to do that. So I can understand why people just don't want to go over and be hassled. So, yeah, you blame Trump, but yeah, it's not Trump. The Canadian peso is as big a problem as anything. Now, the number of Americans coming this way appears to be on the rise. Why? Because they aren't butthurt about these tariffs. They couldn't care less, and their media isn't telling them to stay away from Canada. Like our media is telling people to stay away from the States. Couple that with the Canadian peso, and the Americans have a real bargain when they cross that border, getting $1.50 Canadian when they plunk down an American greenback. And you wonder why? There you go. And I remember when the Canadian dollar was higher. That's right. We used to go over the States and it was 10 cents higher. I remember that. That's at one point when Canada was a really great, well run country and our dollar was higher. And Wheels, you talk about it making Canada great again. Well, not with this government. We're never going to see that again. Now, our broke country and our Canadian peso that's been ravaged by Ponzi schemes and high taxes is basically worthless. Bad for Canadians, great for Americans coming this way. Welcome to Canada, Americans. Come on over. $1.50 for every dollar you spend, you get back, right? I mean, you can't get a better deal than this. Come on over, enjoy it, have a good time. Welcome to Canada. I'm not going to be like the Canadians, anti-American and telling Canadians to stay home. I'm going over the river. I'm going to go to Erie and I'm going to have a good time. Even with the Canadian peso, I'm going to go and have a good time, and I don't care. I don't care. Interesting post on Facebook. It looks like we're going to have an election on May 5th. Is this true? I don't know. I couldn't confirm it. I've seen April 28th or May 5th, one of the two, but somebody said it's going to be on May 5th. So that happens. This could be the shortest term for a prime minister ever. This Art Carney, he's going to be gone. The distinction currently goes to Charles Tupper, who was a prime minister for a mere 69 days in 1896. I mean, even Kim Campbell, remember her? She lasted longer than that. So this Art Carney is Norton? Yeah, Art Carney. He's going to be given the boot, hopefully, if he calls the election on May 5th, and he's going to take over from Charles Tupper, the 69-day prime minister. And I don't even get how anybody can give this left globalist a vote. I don't get it. We know he's going to continue to accelerate the Trudeau mandate of killing Canada. This is what he's up to. This is what he's going to do. He's a globalist and everything else. He's not going to be good for Canada. But you know what? Canadians are known for voting foolishly. Old Blackface was elected 3 times with his bum buddy Jimmy Dollywall in tow. He ran Canada into the ground in 10 years. How did he get elected? Well, you have special interest groups, millions of immigrants and minorities, public service unions with sweetheart deals. I mean, he expanded the public service by 150,000 people in the last 2 or 3 years. Bought and paid for left-wing media that he weaponizes against anybody conservative. O'Toole, Scheer, they both felt the weight of that. And add to that the sleeping millions of voting liberal voters that no matter what they do, the liberals do, or how bad they rule the country, if they're going to vote for them, they're totally asleep. They're sleeping at the switch. So you have a recipe for disaster and a liberal win. So, you think PP is going to win? We all got to get out and vote. We have to have a big turnout. PP's got to get votes. We can't split the vote between other people who I think would be better, but I don't think they have a prayer of winning. We gotta get behind PP, like it or not, and just hope he keeps his campaign promises of not only getting rid of the carbon tax for residents, getting rid of it completely, getting out of the Paris Accord. I don't know if he said that, but he should. Get rid of these stupid programs, and these people don't even make sense. The ones that are yelling about climate change, they're burning Elon out. This guy gets in, we're screwed. Let's face it. And now they really have a head. Their minds are going to blow up. Watch their heads explode pretty soon, because Trump said that he'd rather have Art Carney. He'd rather have him as prime minister than PP. Why? Because he's easier to deal with. Now, what are the left-wing TDS, MDS lunatics going to do? What are they going to do? Trump's backing Carney, he said. He wants Carney. He'd rather have Carney. Well, I mean, we know these people do the very opposite of whatever Trump says. Whatever Trump says is wrong. So what are they going to do now? Are they going to vote for PP? Because Trump said he'd rather have Carney? Oh, their heads are going to explode. I can't wait to see their heads exploding. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. The ultimate paradox. Now what? Now what do you think? What's gonna happen? Now what? Oh, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Trump is the ultimate chess master. He laid it out for Canadians. He told Laura Ingram that he'd rather deal with liberal than a conservative. Liberal than a conservative. They're easier to deal with, he said. So what does the media think? Well, they think Trump endorses Art Carney. And I just told you he didn't. The governor of the 51st state, he doesn't endorse him. He just said he'd rather deal with him, but the media is playing it up like he endorsed him. And what happened when Trump had to deal with Trudeau and Ford, two liberals? He basically poo-pooed them and forced them to take a knee. So he loves dealing with them. Of course he does. Funny stuff. Funny stuff. Orange Man bad, Cheeto Man, the Southern psychopath. Can't go with him. Can't go with what he says, so they got to go with PP. Oh, they can't do that. Can't do that. Bam. Does not compute. M5. Head blow up. Does not compute. And then Trump wins as usual. I mean, never estimate Donald Trump. If anybody has learned anything, do not estimate Trump. Sorry, do not underestimate Trump. He knows whoever he likes, he cannot endorse because the mainstream media, along with the Trump TDS people, will do the opposite. So he reverse psychologizes these people and says he doesn't want PP when he actually probably does. And why? Because they're both conservatives and they see eye to eye with each other. And he sees what he's doing here. Trump plays chess in 5D while others play it on a flat table. He's so far ahead of these bozos it isn't funny. So you hear Trump say that, you gotta figure out the chess table. What's he gonna do? What's he doing? What's he trying to do? How does he get what he wants? And if you know Trump and follow him, and you can take off those blinders, those TDS blinders, he's pretty easy to figure out at the end of the day. Read The Art of the Deal, you'll figure it all out. Now, J.D. Vance is pushing to make Election Day a national holiday, with everybody using paper ballots when they vote. I love this idea. I think Election Day should be a national holiday so that everybody can get out and vote. No excuses. Get out there and vote. Paper ballots, ID, the whole 10 yards, and make sure it's all legit. Never mind these mail-ins and these other things and the computers that can be changed. Let's go with the real deal. A paper ballot you can count and recount. It's long overdue, and we should be looking at something like this in Canada if we can get our election days straight. We never know. I mean, it's supposed to be October 25th. Now it's going to be May 5th or April 28th, and then it's going to be some kind of an emergency act or something, and they don't have to have it for a year after that if they don't want. And they were going to move it a week to give all the MPs that are a week away from being pensionized, getting their pensions, that they make sure they get it. They wanted to delay it for a week because there's a whack of them that are going to get these huge pensions. They can wait a week. Oh my God, it's ridiculous what happens in parliamentary system. Like a constitutional republic would be so nice, so nice. But we don't have that. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay, so let's get to my third sponsor, Hamill Machine Company. And Hamill Machine Company's been in the city since 1948. And I remember going there when I was younger, 18, 19 years old to get stuff done. And they're a small machine shop. Tommy Hamill was a good guy. And they're a small machine shop in Niagara Falls, serving local industry. Local industries uses these machine shops. They're invaluable to local industry because they can't wait for parts to be made, parts to be fixed when they have to be fixed, and they usually don't have machine shops in their business. So they depend on guys like Hamill to fix everything and to do it fast, so they're not, production isn't down to that. They've been doing that since 1948, but when Bob Benner, the owner, came in here and talked about it on the show, I was just blown away by what they actually do. I mean, Hamill Machine Shop is a big player in the machine shops of Niagara Falls. Yeah, sure they do. They do local industry, local business. They even do work for guys like myself who wanted a set of back gates in the backyard. So you go to a place like Hamill, they weld them all up, design them, weld them up, help you install them, even powder coat them so they're protected. They'll do all that stuff for just residents like us, or if you break something on your lawnmower, shear a pin or something like that, they can help you to get that back together if it needs a new channel cut or repaired. This is the kind of thing that they do for us. But for industry, they're invaluable. They work with places like Rich's Products, designing and developing new pieces of equipment that make the job go faster and go better. They design new equipment for wineries to speed up their process. Right down to agricultural products that they ship all over the world. They ship these inventions all over the world. It's an amazing place. It's just fantastic that they're in town. Been around for a long time. Good people that'll help you out. Hamill Machine Company. If you need anything done with metal, um, talk to them. If you need something specially made on a 3D printer, talk to them. They have designers. They have electrical engineers. They have everything there. Or if you just need something welded, go see Hamill Machine Company. They're going to take care of you. Water jet cutters. They can cut you out stuff that you need. Make a pattern, cut it out. There you go. HamillMachine.ca. That's where you want to go to see the tremendous work. Support our sponsors because they support the city and they support the show here. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support and we appreciate the viewer support for our sponsors. And don't forget, I think over on this side over here, there's a subscribe button. Or is it over here? One or the other two. Over here. And subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe. You get a notification when I post another show, usually around 3 in the afternoon on most days of a show. And you help the algorithm get out there to YouTube so more people can watch. It pops up on people's YouTube. They can watch it. They can get involved. We can go down to City Hall next election and vote, get more people involved. That's what we want. That's what the show's all about. Your city, your voice. Coming to you from 4680Q. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Okay, so big news in the US of A. All the JFK files have been released, and the stories are starting to come out as the sleuths pour through the 80,000 or so pages of unredacted information. And from the little I have seen so far, there are some eye-opening pages directly related to Oswald and the CIA involvement in the assassination. It's going to get really good when they really start digging into it. The web is intricate, with signs pointing to a conspiracy with more than one shooter. So I think you got to go to usgov.org or something like that. Just Google Kennedy files, and they'll take you to it. And you've got to go through. They're not just saying, "Oh yeah, this is Kennedy." You got to go through them all and see which ones are interesting. And they're starting to find it. And this is good. The public needs to know exactly what happened on that day in Dallas. Historians and scholars are getting a real-time look at JFK and the Cold War, which started in 1947 after the Second World War ended. And the alliance between the Allies and Soviet Union started to fall apart. Remember, Russia was fighting with us against the Germans in World War II. But after the treaty, things started to fall apart, and they called it a Cold War because they weren't fighting with them, but they were doing undercover operations, covert operations. And the rivalry between them escalated to the point of nuclear war and included the Korean War, Bay of Pigs invasion into Cuba, and the Vietnam War, the domino theory, if you will, where they felt during the Cold War that if one country fell to communism, they all would fall like dominoes. And the U.S. and Allied role was to ensure that didn't happen. I mean, the communist threat was huge. Cold War. I mean, they had the McCarthy hearings where they actually, a lot of Hollywood said they were communist and conspiring against the United States. They're blackballed from the industry. Of course, space was an important area back then. Domination of space. And so we saw the Soviets launching the satellite with Yuri Gagarin. I think his name was Gagarin or something like that. Anyway, yeah, he was launched into space, the first guy in space to do a couple orbits. Then John Glenn and Shepard and all these other guys. And it was a big space race, right down to the end of the decade, where John F. Kennedy, at the beginning of the decade, when he got elected president, said that by the end of this decade, we're going to put a man on the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. These are the things we want to do. And of course, they couldn't do it, so they faked it. And now they're trying to figure out how to do it, something that was never done. But I digress. So the scholars are poring over these files, trying to find out exactly what Oswald, the CIA, and Mafia were up to as far as Russia and the Cubans go. And to also find out what forces needed the president gone and pull the triggers in Dallas. It's going to get really interesting over the next weeks and months. There's 80,000 pages, so this is going to come right away. But little bits and pieces are starting to come out if you watch the news. And there's some interesting stuff in there. And we're going to see all the players that you saw in Stone's the JFK movie and some of these other documentaries where they talked about the Dulles brothers and the CIA and George Bush and Lyndon Johnson's connection to the assassination. There's a lot there, and it's all coming out unredacted so you can see it all. That is going to be so interesting. Keep your eyes open for that. Well, the astronauts are back. That's right. After waiting 9 months to be brought home under the Biden administration, who left them stranded in space, Trump asked Elon to go get them. And go get them, Elon did. Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore splashed down in the Gulf of America, ironically in the Gulf of America this week, coming home from being in that space station for 9 months. If you remember, Boeing took them into space and got them to the space station, but the piece of junk couldn't get them back. He couldn't trust it to get them back to Earth. They were only supposed to be there 8 days. They were there 9 months. Joe Biden left them stranded. I mean, he could have really sent somebody up there, Musk or anybody, to go up and get them, but no, he didn't. Left them there. But once Trump got elected and nominated and inaugurated, he asked Elon Musk, the guy that everybody hates, they're burning his Teslas and Tesla dealerships, painting his swastikas on his Cybertrucks and burning his charging stations, that guy, Elon Musk. He said, sure, I'll go get him. And he went and got him. Now they're back safe on Earth, but it's not going to be an easy time for them. They have about 45 days of rehabilitation to get them Earth ready again. I mean, when you're up there that long, your bones start to get goofy, your muscles start to atrophy, and it isn't the best for the human body. And I can't even imagine, you got your spouse and your kids or whatever, you got a house, you got a mortgage to pay, all your bills to pay. You say, oh, I'll be back in, I'll be back in 8 days. I'll be back in a week. See ya. And you're there 9 months. Pretty tough, huh? Pretty tough on the families and everybody. Worrying about them too. I mean, you got to worry about them up there as well. But the ordeal is over. Why Biden didn't get them back? Ask Musk. I don't know. It's a mystery. But they're back home, safe and sound. Well, safe anyway. Sound is going to take some time. but they're back here, and a lot of people are happy about it. And yeah, it was exciting to watch that thing splash down in the Gulf of America and home safe after that trip. Okay, so the illegals and gang members in the U.S. are being put on planes and sent packing, and the U.S. is way better off for it. Oh boy, I wish Canada would do the same thing. But some Democratic judges don't agree and have said that they can't deport these murderous criminals. They actually ordered Trump to turn the planes around and bring the M13 and Trinidad back because some of them are good people. No, Mr. Judge, they're not good people. They're illegal aliens. First of all, that's illegal. That's a crime right there. You're an alien in the United States, and you didn't come through the proper channels. You jumped the border. You're illegal. And right there, that's a felony, and you got to be deported. And most of them are gang members anyway. Now, this judge is in trouble. For some reason, he thought he could overrule an executive order from the commander in chief, but this judge is wrong. He's going to get impeached for it. There's going to be big trouble. This guy's going to be asked to step down. I mean, the bad guys, they've been sent to prison in El Salvador. And believe me, they're treated as criminals, not as good guys when they hit El Salvador. They're not good guys. The El Salvadoran president said that a lot of these guys are known to the El Salvadorians, and they are criminals, and they're going to jail and staying there. Now, they're there for a year under contract, take these people, but they're going to be there a lot longer because that contract will probably be renewed since it's a lot cheaper to pay for them being housed in El Salvador prisons, in these maximum security prisons, than it is in the ones in the United States. So it costs the American taxpayers less to have them in El Salvador under lock and key than in the United States at somewhere like Florence AXF, or one of those places, Florence AX or AF, whatever it's called, the big maximum security prison. I think it's in, I want to say Colorado. Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, is on the case of these judges that are meddling in foreign affairs, and she's going to look into why a U.S. judge wants to keep these members and leaders of terrorist organizations, and that is what Trinidad has been labeled by the U.S. government, why they want to keep these people in the U.S. It doesn't make sense. And over to Mexico, cartel leaders are being arrested and deported back to the U.S. for trial. Department of Defense leader Peter Hegseth will use military to attack cartel strongholds in Mexico and either arrest or kill them all. They're going after the cartels. And like I say, if only our leaders would do this. Right now, we have about 1.5 million illegals in this country whose visas have run out. They're supposed to go home in January. They haven't gone. Nobody knows where they were. Nobody's deported anybody. We have 50,000 people who applied for student visas and got them. And you know what? They never attended one class, never went to the first day of class, never attended any classes, and they're running around. 20,000 of them from India. So we need to get out there and arrest and deport these people. Get rid of them. Get them out of the country. They're not here legally. And you know, what really makes you mad is the police know who they are. And a lot of times they know where they are. They're the ones doing the smash and grabs and the shootings, the illegals, the stabbings, causing the dramatic rise in crime in the country over the last 10 years, fentanyl and everything else. They know, the cops know who they are, a lot of them, but they can't do anything about it. They're powerless. So whoever wins this election has to give the police back their powers so they can go out there and arrest the bad guys and get rid of them. And give judges a mandate to throw the book at these criminals, detain, deport, incarcerate. That's what has to be done. Find out where they are, detain them. If they're not from here, they're illegal, deport them. And if they're not able to be deported, they're from Canada, Canadian citizens, incarcerate them. This is what we got to do. It's the only way to stop it. We're seeing these people shooting people on the streets, gang wars, drug wars, smash and grabs in jewelry stores. Robert's Credit Jewelers on Queen Street was broken into and robbed last March 5th or something. I mean, it's happening all over the place. A lot of times we don't hear a lot about it, but it happens. And we got to take care of it. And that is about it for today. And I'm going to just tag a couple more things I want to talk about for tomorrow's show. Tag that for tomorrow. And we're going to get out of here. An hour's gone already. Can you imagine that? It went so fast. Holy smackers. So we're going to talk about more of this stuff tomorrow. More city council will be coming up. And of course, always I go to the review for some of these stories. So when you hear me talking about some of these stories, some of it's from what I watched and my opinions. Other news that I'm reporting or talking about is from the review. I go to the review. I have a subscription, and I read great writers like Ray Spiteri, Allison Langley, John Law, Bill Sawchuk. There's a few others. I can't remember their names offhand, but I thank them all. They're great reporters. They write great articles. They deserve all the credit in the world for what they do. And I know Ray Spiteri is the guy who monitors city council meetings. He's in there trying to stay awake. I know he is. I know he's been on the show before. I got to get him on again. I like doing once in a while the agenda with him because he has a lot of knowledge of things that happened 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. Some of these things that we see at city council, some of these items on the agenda have been brought up 4 years ago, and they're bringing them back to the table. They're rehashing some of them. And he's the guy who's been doing it for a long time and knows about them. So it's awesome to have him on here. Thank you, Ray Spiteri. Thank you, Allison Langley. Thank you, John Law. Thank you, Bill Sacha, and all the other great writers. Thank you so much. They're a big part of this show, and I do use you, and I appreciate using your articles. They're well written, easy to understand, and great for people. And I advise anybody who wants to know what's going on in the city and that kind of thing to subscribe to the online paper. Go on, on in the mornings and read all the latest stuff coming out of the review. So tomorrow is finally Friday. Starts at noon, of course. We'll be firing it up at noon. Finally Friday, and then we got the weekend, and we move through the weekend till Manic Monday. We're almost through March here. A few more days, and we're going to get through it. And March 24th, that's Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that is the day that Parliament convenes again, and then we're going to see if they're gonna do a non-confidence vote, and we can have an election and get rid of this joker, Art Carney. Get rid of him and get somebody in there who was actually going to do something for Canada. Canada first. We need that, but not from these guys. They're not going to do it. We've seen it. We've seen what they do, and it isn't good for Canada. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Right out the window here, we're downtown in the studios of 4680Q. Tip of the hat to everybody. Thank you for watching the show. Subscribe to the channel. Support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and Hamill Machine Company. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I say, subscribe. It helps the algorithm, and it helps us get this show out to people. The more, the merrier. We're at 115 subscribers. Let's get to $150, 150 before the summer kicks in, and we can go to town by the time that next election hits. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you all. I will see you tomorrow with Finally Friday. Ciao, ciao.